Ghosts in Us contains serious and sometimes disturbing events and is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
It had the crying boy painting.
Her imaginary friend as a kid was a demon.
I looked that thing in its eyes and it changed me forever.
I absolutely believe it was like a demonic presence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ghosts in Us podcast. Today, Taylor, just take it away. You know what? Just take it away. I don't know why you had me start. Just take it away.
Today we're gonna dive into the Warrens because we've talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
I did as much research as I could, that I could fit into like a podcast episode.
Yeah, you and I were messaging the other day, and we were because I'm doing research on an episode, and you're doing research on an episode. You're like, I'm 75% of the way down. I was like, I'm finished, and you're like, lucky.
Well, I didn't want to go into so much detail. Like, you could make a whole series of
for sure. Of all their cases, all their items.
Yeah. So I kind of I summarized it almost. But are we ready to hear about it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, Edward and Lorraine Warren were American paranormal investigators. And
start that again. This is a PG. This is at least a PG-13 show, at least. Trying to keep it somewhat family friendly. Jeez, Louise.
I didn't mean to say that. Anyways.
That's staying in.
Edward Warren and Lorraine Warren were American paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of alleged hauntings. Edward was self-taught and self-professed or professed demonologist, author, and lecturer, while Lorraine professed to be clairvoyant and a light trance medium who worked closely with her husband. Ed ended up passing away August 23rd of 2006 at the age of 79, and Lorraine passed away April 18th, 2019 at the age of 92. In 1952, the Warrens founded the New England Society of Psychic Research, or it's just shortened to NESPR, which is the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They authored many books about the paranormal and about their private investigations. And they claim to have investigated well over 10,000 cases during their career. According to the Warrens, the official website of the NESPR, Viviglam magazine, and several other sources, the NESPR uses a variety of individuals, including medical doctors, researchers, police officers, nurses, college students, and members of the clergy in its investigations. So they have a whole staff on standby. After Lorraine passing away, their son-in-law actually carries on investigations to this day. So when someone comes to be well known for a topic of the unknown, they come with a lot of skeptics as well, such as Perry DeAngelis and Stephen Novella. They investigated the Warrens' evidence and describe it as Blarney.
I have
rubbish.
No idea. You did this research.
Rubbish.
You didn't look in the pronunciations.
I did on some of the names. They describe it all as rubbish, like it's crap. And then there's Joe Nickel and Benjamin Radford, who concluded that the better known hauntings like Amityville and oh my God, I pronounced this correctly when I was doing my research. Snedinger. Yeah. Family hauntings. They believe it did not happen, and this was all just made up stories to get popular.
Right.
Even though they claim to have investigated over 10,000 cases, there really is only 7 to 9 notable cases that people that they actually have out there. I have 7 put down because they inspired film and TV shows, books, and documentaries over the years. With media enticing new followers to look into the demonologist and the clairvoyant, Ed and Lorraine had an image to uphold. But when the Conjuring films were being produced, Lorraine put in her contract that the portrayal of her and her husband should not be shown having sex, going through affairs, or engaging in crimes of sex with minors. And the reasoning for this is there's some accusations that they faced in the past.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So Ed was in his mid-30s when he allegedly met a 15-year-old girl named Penny. Having not yet gained enough fame as a self-trained demonologist to pay his bills in the early 60s, he was working as a city bus driver in Monroe, Connecticut, and Penny was a student at Central High School in a nearby town of Bridgeport who rode the bus, and the two began an amorous relationship. But Penny said in a legal declaration she gave in November of 2014, she moved in with the Warrens in 1963. So for the next 40 years, she said she had a sexual relationship with Ed, and Lorraine knew about it as well. At first, Penny stayed in a bedroom directly opposite of the room they occupied, but eventually she moved into an apartment that was built above their home. And according to her, one night Ed will sleep in her apartment, and another night he would sleep in his home.
What the hell?
So
I had no idea. I didn't know anything about this.
This started coming out once the Conjuring
I didn't know that.
films started coming. Even in 1963, a teenage girl did not move in with a married man without attracting notice. That year, Penny was arrested after someone reported her relationship with Ed to local police. And according to her November
Why was she
2014
arrested?
declaration, because she was underage.
Why was she arrested?
I don't know.
Should have been the other way around.
Yeah, right. So according to her declaration, she spent a night in the North End prison in Bridgeport while police tried to persuade her to sign a statement admitting to the affair. After Penny refused to cooperate, she was ordered by the court to report to a delinquent youth office for the next month. And Ed would pick her up from school every week and drive her to the mandated meetings. Penny has said Ed told her many times that she was the love of his life, and the Warrens, according to her, presented her variously as a niece or a poor girl whom they've taken in out of charity.
Oh, my.
So this is where it kind of gets just like a little more sad and drama filled.
Real.
In May of 1978, Penny was in her 30s and she supposedly became pregnant with Ed's child. In the declaration, she said that Lorraine persuaded her to have an abortion because the birth of a child could become public and any scandal could ruin the Warrens' business. Though Lorraine has claimed to be a devout Catholic, Penny said her real God is money. This wouldn't be the first time the Warrens were viewed as money-hungry people. Like, extremely.
Yeah. So, are we still saying this is all so we don't get sued? Is this allegedly, or is this like for real? Like,
this is coming from a girl who supposedly had this relationship with Ed.
Like, holy crap, that's not good.
Ed and Lorraine's daughter and her husband do come out and say that they never saw any of the alleged conduct during the decades they've spent with the three. The Warrens opened their home up to Miss Penny when she was 18.
Oh.
So she's saying 15. Or no, she's saying 18. Yes, because she knew him for 3 years. And they had an amorous relationship from 15 to 18. When she was 18 and she had nowhere else to live following a childhood of neglect. And during much of their career, Ed and Lorraine were on the road working on cases or giving lectures. So Penny pretty much just lived there and watched over their house. They also said that Penny had a long-term boyfriend for much of that time, whom she eventually married, and the couple spent holidays with the Warrens. So these allegations that are coming out around the time that the Conjuring films were being made and being put out, it it sounds like she just wanted attention.
Okay. I don't know.
You don't know what to say to that.
Nope.
Um, so I'll get into some of their actual like work now. I'll also be listing some of the films that were inspired by these cases for shits and giggles.
Oh, good.
So the first case that I'm going to talk about, in 1986, the Snyder family, who consists of Alan and Carmen and their three sons, daughter, and two nieces, moved into a simple white duplex rental home in Southington, Connecticut, that had one time had been a funeral home. Do you know what movie this could be or could be inspired by this so far?
One time been a funeral home. Nah, just spill the beans.
I'll just keep going. Um, In the basement, they found various mortuary toys, including a hoisting apparatus for coffins, a medical gurney, blood drains, and toe tags. Soon enough, the Snyders were reporting all kinds of evil, including sexual attacks, aberrations, and abrupt violent personality changes in their oldest son, who was undergoing treatments for Hodgkin's disease. The Warrens investigated the house and officially proclaimed it possessed, and then launched a major media campaign around it. They proclaimed the house was possessed.
Oh, we
not
talked about
the boy.
so many different cases from them. Like, remember a few, like, oh gosh, I think it might have been season one, might have been, or early season 2. We talked about, like, I think we talked about this case.
I don't think so, actually.
We might have mentioned it. I don't know. Keep going.
So eventually, other facts emerged, including the troubled nature of the oldest son, who, besides having a drug habit, was diagnosed with schizophrenia and admitted to some of the vileness going on in the household. In addition, during the entire time of the pandemonium was in full swing, the upstairs neighbor lived without any incidents. The most damning is the testimony of the author hired to write the original book for the Warrens and the Snyders, Ray Garton. So Garton eventually went on record that not only was he given conflicting stories of the Snyders' experiences, he was given directions to ignore those conflicts and sensationalize the story. This is the movie that was inspired by this case was called A Haunting in Connecticut.
Oh, duh. I should have guessed that.
So some of these are not part of the whole Conjuring series with the
Right.
nun and Annabelle and all that stuff. The next one, it was a TV movie, like straight to TV kind of movie called The Haunted. And it was it was inspired by this family called the Smurl family.
Okay.
So the Smurl family moved into a double block house in West Pittston, Pennsylvania, back in August of 1973, and they claimed that the premises was disturbed by a demon that caused loud noises, bad odors, threw their dog into a wall, shook their mattress, pushed one of their daughters down a flight of stairs, and physically and sexually assaulted family members on several occasions. In 86, the family brought in Ed and Lorraine Warren, and according to Ed, the demon that inhabited the Smurls' home was very powerful, and it shook mirrors and furniture after they tried to persuade it to leave by playing religious music and praying. The Warrens claimed they felt a drop in temperature and saw a dark mass form in the home, and the demon once left a message on the mirror telling them to get out. After months of investigation, Warren alleged that he had a number of audio tapes containing knocking and rapping caused by the demon. When it's just audio and you're just hearing knocking, I just think, wow, that is very easy to fake.
Yeah, but remember, video cameras weren't super common with people.
True.
Like, I
The
think they
home
were just starting to be kind of oriented towards home videos. So,
the home was blessed by several priests who have said they saw no harmful activity while on the property. One even stayed in the home for 2 days while the family stayed somewhere else and experienced nothing. And the family, I believe the mother came out to say, "Oh, that's because the demon moved over to the other side of the house. It was hiding from you." The Smurls had authored, along with Ed and Lorraine and the Scranton newspaper writer Robert Curran, a paperback book version of their story called The Haunted, which was published by St. Martin's Press. And this movie, made for TV movie, came out in 91. So you're going to kind of notice a pattern. There's books that there's always a book.
especially with them, there's always a book.
This one I'm pretty sure you would catch on and know what it's about.
Sure.
Or
let's
what
see.
movie. Roger and Carolyn Perrin moved into the Rhode Island farmhouse in 1971
Yeah,
with
The
their
Conjuring.
5 daughters. There you go. With their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. While the movies portray the events happening over a very short period, the parents actually lived in that house until 1980. So they lived there for 9 years. The most vocal member of the family is Andrea, who wrote the 2011 book House of Darkness, House of Light, which helped inspire the movie. The family, mostly Carolyn and her daughters, saw full-body apparitions, heard noises, and smelled rotten odors. Oh my God, I can't read that word.
I can't help you.
I know. So, in a terrifying seance performed with the help of the paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine, the Warrens contacted the parents after hearing about their situation from other paranormal researchers and offered to come and investigate. While depicted as more of an exorcism in the film, the Warrens allegedly did guide the parents through a seance to help them communicate with whatever malicious entity was targeting Carolyn and her daughters. I guess I ended it there. So there's a lot of drama. This is okay. I was doing all this research at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Laughing.
Sleep deprived.
It was. I guess I've ended it there.
There's a lot of drama with the Conjuring house at this time. I didn't go into it because I don't know a lot about it. However, I know there's a good chunk of people that are trying to encourage others to boycott the house.
So here's the latest update, and in the last month or so, they no longer have a business license. So anybody who has things booked through them or have events planned with them, while you can still privately do it between yourself and the owner, she can legally just kick you off the property, call the cops on you for trespassing, and keep your money. She was on their local news, and she did a whole interview, and she is just, something is wrong there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to comment on it really. But something's wrong there. She blames Jason Hawes of Taps, former Taps. I don't know if they still do anything. I think they're looking for networks. I know he does stuff on YouTube now. But she blames him for a bunch of boycotts and stuff like that, and all this hate that has come her way and things like that.
I mean,
and
he was part of the staff. Like, he was part of the people that help.
he helped.
Conjuring,
He helped
right?
any way that he could. He wasn't part of the staff. He volunteered. As
Well,
in,
that's what I meant.
okay. His daughter and her fiance, as much controversy as they have, um were, I believe, part of the staff and
Okay.
would help out there and do events and things like that. There was one employee who got fired and never got paid. She claimed that he was stealing stuff from the gift shop, and the reason she knows that he stole it is that the spirits of the house told her. Um yeah, it's a whole big shamble, and it's unfortunate. Because the Conjuring house is cool. I would have
The
loved to
house
have
has
gone there.
it
She
has way
needs to
more
sell
drama
it.
now.
She needs to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna outright say it. It needs to get sold. It needs to go to different hands. And it needs to be run properly by someone who's not gonna go weird. So
Could it
that's
be the
my two
house making
cents.
her weird though?
Taylor. I
Hey.
mean, it's the Conjuring house. I understand. However, I think there's something underlying there.
There's been people blaming possession
I'm
for
aware.
their
I'm very well aware.
behaviors.
I'm very well aware. I think there's something underlying there. Again, I'm not qualified, but that's my thought.
Just Dr. Blaine. Put a doctor hat on.
Allegedly.
Um allegedly. The next one, obviously, you're gonna know as well, and I would hope other people would know of this story too, because it's a big one. Going overseas, the Warrens investigated one of the most notable paranormal cases in London. In August of
Yes.
1977, single mother Peggy
The Conjuring 2.
Hodgson, yes, called the police to her rented home in Enfield, London, saying she had witnessed furniture moving and that two of her four children heard knocking sounds on the walls. Those two children's names were Janet and Margaret, ages 11 and 13. A police constable reported witnessing a chair wobble and slide, but could not determine the cause of the movement. Later claims included disembodied voices, loud noises, thrown toys, overturned chairs, and children levitating. Over a period of 18 months, more than 30 people, including the Hodgson's neighbors, paranormal investigators, and journalists, said they variously saw heavy furniture moving on its own accord, objects being thrown across the room, and the sisters seeming to levitate several feet off the ground. There's like this really
The most
famous
controversial photo you
picture
could see. It
of
looks like she's jumping
girl
out of
in
the
the
bed.
air. Yeah. Many also heard and recorded knocking noises and a gruff voice. But in the movie, Ed and Lorraine were very much involved, right?
Yes. In the
But-
movie, it's kind of more sensationalized.
So the Warrens' visit was very short. Ed tried to persuade Playfair that money could be made from this case by writing books and selling movie rights, and then they left. They acknowledged the situation, said, hey, you can make money off of this, and then just left the situation.
Have you heard the original recordings at all?
Yes.
They are some of the most creepy sounding voices you'll hear. And all you can do is kind of take it at people's word, because they saw Janet, I believe was her name, would just speak in this gruff, like, old man voice, and it's so just creepy.
See, I didn't go into super big detail on this case because they weren't part of it.
Yeah, it's
But
really
they're-
weird.
they're
Well, even
attached
the
to it.
movie is so sensationalized, and they added the nun into it, and to make another movie and stuff like that. So
It just blows my mind that this case is connected to them just because they showed up and asked for this to be a story.
I think it was The Conjuring 2, Taylor, that when Lorraine Warren was on the red carpet. It was either this one or the last. It was either the first or the second movie. I think it might have been this one. She got asked if that stuff like really happened, and Lorraine Warren said, "Yeah, pretty much," and just
Pretty
like,
much.
yeah, just like, yeah, pretty much. That's about the gist of it. And she kind of like what ended the interview in that sense. I'm like, huh, what? Are you kidding me?
Uh,
What?
maybe Ed was the one that was really good at interviews.
No, it wasn't even the shortness. I don't even care about the shortness. It was like, yeah, that's basically what happened. What? No, you do literally any research. A simple Google search would tell you that no, that is not at all.
Um, speaking of like fabricated
Ay.
and just like over dramatic stories, the next case is probably the most famous case investigated by the Warrens, the Amityville Horror.
Mind you, that scene in The Conjuring 2, the Amityville haunting, gets maybe 4 minutes of play in the beginning of The Conjuring 2, and then it goes straight to the end.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the poltergeist, the Enfield poltergeist. Ay, ay, ay.
The 3-story home was originally built for John and Catherine Moynihan, who purchased the property in the early 1920s. And then in October of 1960, their daughter sold the home to John and Mary Riley, who lived there for 5 years before they sold the house to Ron and Louise Defoe in June of 1965. And when they purchased the house, the Defoes had 4 children: Ronald Jr., Dawn, Allison, Mark, and then they had one on the way named John, who was born later that year.
Taylor, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
So you know how we did episode research? Like you did an episode, I did an episode.
Yeah.
Amityville's my case.
Oh, really?
Amityville's my case. I've been dropping hints to you about it for a while.
I thought you were going to do something of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that one's on my docket, just not this time around.
Oh.
So
Cool.
I'm really glad you
you'll-
didn't go like super deep into the case, because
Anyways.
I have a really big deep dive in timeline.
Perfect. So my shitty notes.
It starts at
Are
the
just like
at the DeFeos though. It doesn't start with when the house was built in the 20s and everything. So
Oh, so mine are just like little highlights. And
yeah.
then yours is
So
the deep dive.
for people listening and watching, the next podcast episode's about Amityville, because I really wanted to talk about Amityville.
So, in the early morning hours of November 13th, 1974, 6 members of the DeFeo family were found murdered inside their home. Ron and Louise had each been shot twice, while 4 of their children, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John, had each been shot once, and their bodies were discovered the following evening by the only surviving family member, Ronald Jr., who was eventually found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder. On December 18th, 1975, the former DeFeo home was sold to George and Kathy Lutz, who moved in with their 3 young children. According to their story, the family began experiencing paranormal activity on their first day in the house. The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson provides a chilling account of the horrors they faced, from a mysterious green slime oozing down the walls and toilet bowls turning completely black, to the appearance of a pig with beady red eyes and a faceless figure with demon horns and a white peaked hood. The family reached their breaking point on January 14th of 76, less than a month after moving in, and fled the home, leaving all their belongings behind. Following a paranormal investigation conducted that March, the Lutzes returned to the house Oh no, sorry. They returned the bank or to the oh my God. They returned the house to the bank and moved to California. After this, the house has been owned by many different families over the years, but families struggle to stay there not due to the paranormal activity because there really isn't much reports of activity past the Lutz's like the Lutz family, but due to the ambush of people trying to take a peek at the famous house. They would stand in the windows and stare inside. They would trespass left and right, and they would leave garbage all over the property.
Not to dive
You
too deep because I have all my information that I'm going to say for next episode. George Lutz was asked after the movie had premiered, did all this stuff really happen? And he said, the movie was good. The movie told the story, but it was much scarier in person than what was shown on the screen. And one thing you didn't touch on was the reason that they believe the house was haunted is that Ronnie Jr. was possessed and that he killed the family. He would hear voices and things like that, and that was he was one of the first people in court to try and use the defense of the devil made me do it.
No, really?
I'll go into it next episode, trust me.
Oh, I'm very interested because I also have
so
I
I hope
also
you
have
guys
Arn on here.
so please watch for the next episode as well after this one. It'll be like probably a week or so after, 2 weeks. So we're going to release episodes bi-weekly. And he was one of the first people to do the devil made me do it defense. Needless to say, it didn't work. But yeah.
Does it ever?
No. Because you can't prove it.
I love that we're so freaking close in our topics.
I've been hinting at this to you for a few days now. So
my next case isn't really a case. It's an object.
an object. Is it the Annabelle doll that we talked about already?
Absolutely. We did not talk about.
We talked about Annabelle.
We didn't talk about the story of how she came.
All right, tell the story of how it came.
All right. It began in the 70s when a 28-year-old nurse received the Raggedy Ann doll as a birthday gift from her mom. She put the rag doll on her bed and began to notice it changing positions. A leg would be crossed or the doll would be lying on its side. Then the girl and her roommate began to find parchment paper on the floor with written messages such as "Help me, help us." But they had no parchment paper in the house. The doll began to appear in different rooms and at one point appeared to be leaking blood. Then one day, a male friend was taking a nap and woke up with the doll staring at him as if he felt like he was being strangled. And then there were deep scratch wounds on his upper body. And I feel like this was already a sign that Annabelle was not a friendly thing.
Keep going.
The girls at first thought maybe an intruder was moving the doll around and leaving notes, but when they ruled that out, not knowing where else to turn, they decided to contact a medium and a seance was held. The girls were then introduced to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, said to be a young girl that resided on the property before the apartment was built and died there at the age of 7. And the spirit expressed to the medium that she felt comfort with the two roommates and wanted to stay with them and be loved. So the roommates gave Annabelle permission to inhabit the doll, but things got worse. The Warrens took an interest in the case and contacted the women, and they came to an immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhuman presence. The spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host. So Ed and Lorraine obtained the doll, and they placed it in a glass enclosure in their occult museum in Monroe. However, the Warrens Occult Museum is permanently closed, primarily due to zoning violations in the residential area where it is located. meaning the property was being used for a non-residential purpose like a museum, which was not permitted by local regulations. And this issue led to the museum's closure in 2019. You can still like do virtual tours, and
That's cool.
they take the items, like they'll bring the haunted items to the conventions. Like they brought Annabelle, I
Yeah.
think in
Yeah,
2022.
their son-in-law still does like you were saying earlier,
Yeah,
he'll take
Tony.
Annabelle and stuff and do stuff with it.
Like if they talk about how like you shouldn't, or like people are always afraid to remove Annabelle from her enclosure, like how can he feel okay with bringing her around the states?
I don't know.
But yeah, I think the movie, yes, it is very like glamorous and like I don't just way out there, but the movie kind of stays close to the story of Annabelle.
The first one.
Yeah, let's not talk about the other ones. That
Even though
just
the
goes
other ones are
completely
better.
off the rails. They are, but it completely goes off the rails of her
I know,
story.
but they're better.
um okay, this is my last one.
Oh, good. Cool.
And it is The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. The
Oh,
Brickfield
my.
Paranormal Trial. So David Gletzel, I'm going to just butcher all these last names. The youngest brother-in-law of Arne Johnson, who was close to the family for the longest time at this point, says that in 1980, when he was 11, he was possessed by the devil, which he first encountered in Arne and Debbie's new house. This experience would eventually lead to what the family characterized as a full-scale demonic possession. The brothers' mother, Judy, eventually called Ed and Lorraine, and together Judy and the Warrens secured an exorcism from the Catholic Church. When it appeared that David was struggling during the exorcism, Arne intervened. He yelled out for the demon to take him instead over and over, and once he felt this cold feeling rush over him and David visibly was in a more calm state, Lorraine was in shock and asked him, "What have you done?" The Warrens and most of the Glitzel family believed that the entity was supposedly possessing David and then migrated into Arne. And 5 months later, it resurfaced, taking over Arne's body and killing Alan Bono, which was his landlord, I believe. Still to this day, Johnson maintains his innocence. He says he did not do this.
Yep.
The detective who processed Johnson after the stabbing said that he seemed to not be able to recall anything about the killing. He claimed that he was possessed by a demon when he committed the murder, and this was the first time in the American court system where the defendant claimed demonic possession. That's why I was very confused on your claim and like your research.
Well, then I guess I'll have to check when DeFeo was in court for this, because I'm pretty sure that was 79, 70, somewhere in the late 70s. He was on trial.
Okay.
So
So, according to a article in the New York Times from 1981, the Warrens spent time with Johnson and his family and claimed that the demonic possession theory, like they rationalized it. However, a judge ultimately disregarded this theory and sentenced Johnson to prison, where he only served 5 years before being released. He got released on good behavior, I believe,
Yep.
but it was like 8 to 25 years. After the trial, Ed and Lorraine hired an author, Gerald Brittle, to write David and Arne's story. This is where I kind of just like lose my like positive feelings with Ed and Lorraine and thoughts.
yeah.
So Ed goes to Gerald and says, "When you're writing this, make it scary." And Gerald goes, "But I checked with the people and they said that this didn't happen." And Ed goes, "Make it scary. People come to us and they buy scary." At the time, the Gletzel, this is also really bad. At the time, the Gletzel parents received $4,500 for selling their story, and the Warrens received more than $81,000.
That makes sense.
Lorraine told David he was going to be a rich little boy from having this book deal and selling his story. But that was a lie. The Warrens made a lot of money off of them. And he came out saying if they could profit off of you, they will. It's all about money. There's also been speculation that like this whole situation with David and possession, there was speculation that David's mother has been drugging the family with a sleep aid for a long time. So at dinner, she would slip the sleep aid in their food, and long-term effects would cause hallucinations.
My gosh.
So my feelings and appreciation for Ed and Lorraine have dropped down doing this research because it is
once you really like
money hungry.
Yeah.
It's all about fame and money and like going to a family who is struggling and trying to have some
Hold on,
kind
before
of
you
like
keep going.
relief.
Allegedly. I don't want anybody coming
Allegedly.
at us. Allegedly money hungry.
But like to go to a family and just be like, hey, you should sell the story and then leave when it didn't seem like they were going to do it. Like they were uncertain and they're like, all right, bye.
Yeah. It's sad.
Once they got some sort of fame and recognition, it all went out the window. Like the genuine help and support just gone.
Right. That's sad.
And a lot of paranormal investigators out there, like at least in the past, did not support Ed and Lorraine. Because like they would over exaggerate.
That's just really sad.
But they did inspire a lot of people like currently in this day and age to be interested.
I know.
So that's all the notes I have. Their website, the Nesper website, is still up. You could go on there and they have some case files on there where you could actually read in detail and like depth. So like I know these cases are on there and they obviously will explain the stories way better than I could.
And people have more time to read than they do to listen, so
I feel like listening is so much easier.
it is. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
I'm so sorry about my grammar issues and fumbles. But yeah.
So let's leave it up to the audience. What do you think? Ed and Lorraine, real or fake? You leave it down in the comments below.
You could also leave allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Are they real or are they fake? Allegedly. Yes. And I'm going to laugh when somebody comments they're real fake. And I'm like, all right, you got the best of both worlds.
Woo! I think the drama behind Ed's little like affair is crazier than half of these stories.
The things that make you go, buh.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Oh, that's all you have. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast on your podcast catcher of choice, or listening to this podcast on your podcast catcher of choice, I should say. If you like what you hear, you enjoy our company, leave a review down below. It helps us get out to more people. The more reviews we have, the more listeners we can get, and the more stories we can tell. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below what you think about Ed and Lorraine Warren. I can speak now. Got me. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. I, for one, am an enjoyer of the films. I am not a fan of the stories that Taylor told me. But
don't let what I said ruin your like vision of Ed and Lorraine. If
it's
you
too
really
late.
think they're
did.
Great people, this is just the stuff that I found and other people have done deep research on. So I just gathered it and put it together.
Especially if they've talked to the people that they're about. It's kind of, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's just believe the victim.
Well, and then they can't defend themselves because they're both dead.
Yeah. Just don't be pieces of shit, people.
All right.
But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a review down below, and make sure to follow us on social media at Ghosts in Us everywhere. And if you have a story that you want to submit to us and we can tell on the show, or you can even be a guest, email us at ghostinus@gmail.com, and we will see you next time.